define success. All right, enough with the commercial. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Excellent. Hey, we're certainly pressed. In fact, I caught you on SMX West whenever you were on Meet the SEOs on stage there out with Danny this last time around. It was a really good presentation that you gave, and very matter of fact as well.
Thank you. I'd say that's probably just a good description of my personality. But yeah, it was a great panel. Some great people there. Cindy Crum was on there. Mm-hmm. Anytime Danny, specifically reaches out and say, "Hey, you want to do something?" What am I going to say? No. Yeah, exactly. So I was excited to be there.
Oh yeah, it was enjoyable, and we were even able to sit real close to you in the inner secret meeting over at Google whenever they were listening to the SEOs kind of complain to them of what they really needed and what they wanted.
Sure.
And you were very vocal there as well. I got to let you know. Well, I love the listeners.
It was kind of funny because we're sitting there talking about webmaster tools and data and why doesn't it go back longer than 90 days. Yep. And literally these guys are telling us that they have a storage problem. I'm like, how do you have a storage problem? You're Google. You have aircraft carriers that have data centers. You do not have a storage problem.
No, exactly.
Let's get this straightened out. Let's make this something that we can all actually use.
Was this the first time that you've seen that type of earnest approach from Google?
Yeah, I've only been involved in thought leadership stuff for about 5 years, so I had never been to a Google dance before, so I don't know what they used to be like.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was actually really great of them to be so open to feedback, and I think one of the key takeaways, and I think also Matt Cutts kind of reinforced this as a takeaway because of course he was there too, was that Google always rolls things out and then they don't give us enough time to give people to adopt them.
Yes.
And then by the time they do adopt them, they get rid of them. So it makes our jobs far more difficult to get things adopted when they do that.
Especially,
so I think that, they really heard that. And I think that's going to be helpful when they roll these things out, moving forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, there was some members of that audience that literally have 900 clients. Yeah, I remember in one comment, how do you expect us to move all these so quickly and then change the game on us? I can only think about just the authorship side of things, and all of a sudden it disappears from us as a valuable factor that they all then treated us to go set up inside of our sites, and then it's gone. And as just an example. Well, Michael, you have a pretty lengthy history. You started off as a webmaster at Microsoft. And you went through a number of different engagements. We went over to Razorfish, working on Fortune 500 clients like Ralph Lauren, ADT, State Farm, Hawaiian Airlines, T. Rowe Price, Citibank. Those are some great brands, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It's fun.
I bet. You can do a lot with those brands.
Yeah, it was really cool to there's a mall outside of Philadelphia called the King of Prussia Mall. It's actually the biggest mall in America.
Yeah.
It's even bigger than the Mall of America. But anyway, it's all high-end brands, and they have stores there. And it was pretty cool to be able to walk through the mall and be like, I work with them and them and them. So, from there I'd been like, hey, we need to keep on this trend of working with big clients. So even now at iPullRank, we have a number of big clients. Right. But at the end of the day, those clients, it's harder to get them to do things, but it just looks really cool on the resume, Yeah. Whereas your Inc. 500 type brands, your mid-market enterprises, they have the money to spend, and they're also in those second positions, so they're trying to be aggressive, so they're more likely to implement the things you talk about.
Yeah, but those net 90s on enterprise clients are wonderful, though, right?
So here's the thing about net 90 and net 30 and all that. Whatever the term is, it's actually that plus 29.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's never in their best interest to pay you at that net 30. So net 30 is really net 59 because they don't have to pay any
late fees.
They don't incur any penalties until net 60.
Yeah.
So it's it's such a ridiculous thing to deal with.
Yeah, you better believe it. Well, speaking of mid-tier agents, I mean, yeah, exactly, is that, I mean, they're a good deal more agile, and they're responsive to your suggestions as opposed to the big brands that already own their brand, and you're having to persuade upwards all the time on the different strategy that they need to deploy. It's like moving a barge. I get that completely. But, I mean, your offerings inside of the SEO and digital strategy, I mean, you lead strategy and marketing teams, and covering market research, social strategy, content strategy, analytics, inbound marketing, outbound marketing, on-page SEO. Is there anything that you don't do in this space? That's what I need to know.
Yeah, we don't do mobile apps. We don't do large-scale link building, and we're not a production house. In fact, we just launched our new site, and we have a "What We Don't Do" page because people often would ask us that. And so, we don't do the large-scale link building because we only want to do link building that's tied to a content effort. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing spam. And clients are going to be like, where are my 10 links a month? And I'm going to be like, this is stupid.
Yeah, got it.
And then we don't do mobile apps just because, I don't have the expertise in mobile apps, and no one on my team. We have some UX people that have done mobile app stuff, but we have never worked on a mobile app end to end. So I wouldn't say I can build your mobile app.
Right.
And then we're not a production house in that, don't hit me up like, oh, I just need 10 blog posts. That's not how we operate. We prefer to have a cohesive strategy that we work with you to build out and then start creating that type of stuff. So yeah, I would say those are the three things we don't do.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just don't want to hit a item list of a count of articles because you're putting the cart before the horse. You don't know what you're going to write, so there's no reason to even plan how many pieces of content you're going to. You could be a concerted effort just on one piece of content. Absolutely.
I completely agree with that. So I think the problem is, people conflate content strategy and content marketing.
Yep.
And they think just because they've done content marketing, they have a strategy for content. It's not necessarily the case. And more content is not always the answer to your content problem.
Say that again for me.
One more time with feeling. More content is not always the answer to your content problem.
Fantastic. I mean, that's the thing is that, it has to get down to the user intent. It has to get down to the consumer's intent and be able to put together that process inside of the web assets as well as the external assets, the external marketing strategies to bring those customers in where they are in their journey, right?
Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of that. I've always talked about let's use personas and things. Yeah. And, early on when I first started saying that, some people thought that was cool sounding or cute or whatever. But as the ability to get more and more data driven with that stuff has, come up with the new tools and with, Google allowing us to measure based on affinity segments and things like that, it makes it entirely data driven, and we can tie it back to search very specifically and then use that to inform content strategy. I always say this, most people when they do their keyword research, they just give you a list of keywords and search volumes,
right?
And what does that tell me? It just tells me that X amount of people are searching for something. It doesn't give you the context as to why they're searching for that. It just gives you that intent. Yep. And marrying the user journey and the personas with that gives you a much bigger picture of what you're looking at, and it also allows you to have better conversations when, like you said, we're presenting up the ladder to these CMOs and such that don't really care about your links and your metadata. They do care about what market segments are we getting with search, and what's the ROI and things like that. So yeah, definitely.
Are you missing message?
And the personas. It's everything to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even showing them the gaps of here's your site and here's the message. Here's where you're missing the message in that consumer journey, and here's the data that actually demonstrates the patterns that they're the concentric circles that they're operating in to find your solution. And if you don't have that content on your site, then that CMO can absolutely understand. Okay, I got to make this thing happen right now because that conversation is not being had online.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too, because when we do our content audits, we do those in terms of the personas and the user journey as well. So we can very specifically show you with data where you have holes in your user journey. And
that's right.
There's a use case, or excuse me, a case study that I always show where we worked with a adventure travel agency, and they had there's all these different stages in the journey that people that are looking to book these adventure travel trips,
right,
like going on these crazy safaris and whatever, they want to know what happens if I get hurt during this. So they might search for that before they buy, even though that's a later stage in their trip, right? So what we found is, like, because our client didn't have that content, well, those people would search for that stuff and then go to like Expedia or some other place, and then we started putting that content on the site, and all of it started to pop up in the assisted conversions for users coming from search, or not even just search, like from other channels as well. So it just kind of proves that point, that if you don't have content for every stage in the journey, you're basically leaking money from your funnel because you don't answer those questions.
Yep, you have to answer all the questions to keep them inside the basket, or they're going to go and, I mean, they're savvy customers, and they know that they can go right back to Google and go get that question answered someplace else.
Absolutely.
Hey, congrats on your new baby.
Thank you. It's been a great journey thus far. She doesn't do much, but
I bet she downloads a lot.
I mean, I'm waiting for her to get a job. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, hold your breath on that one.
It's been awesome.
What's your baby's name?
Her name is Zora.
Oh, that's a very cool name. Is this your first?
It is.
Boy. That's awesome. That first child is fantastic. You're going to get as many pictures as you possibly can, right?
Oh man, you if you saw my phone right now, like, I have probably like thousands of pictures since I got this phone, but now I have equal amount of this little girl.
all of a sudden Michael's iCloud storage is exploding. Just
yeah, I gotta switch to Google Photos.
There you go. Yep.
Google's out of room.
Google's not in storage. Yeah, but you know what? I've had my four kids now, Michael, and you know what? I don't have a picture of my fourth kid on my phone. What's up with that?
Whoa. The kids get like diminished.
Oh, you better believe it.
Another one.
And the fourth one's pissed off. Hey, we noticed that you have your 2-year anniversary party at iPullRank, right?
Yeah, we had that yesterday. We rented a beach house in Long Island and just, had a little party.
Everybody recovered?
I don't know. I'm not in the office. I'm on paternity leave.
Well, tell me some lessons that you've learned in the 2 years starting your own SEO agency.
I don't think I've sat down and quantified this, but let's try real quick.
All right.
One of the main things is that, like I said, the net 59 thing.
Yeah.
You can't really.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
Yeah. You can't really count on people to follow through on things. So, you got to really stay on top of your cash flow.
Yeah.
That's incredibly important for, I guess, every business, but definitely for a services business. I would say when I first started, I was hesitant to hire because it's a lot of responsibility, obviously, employing people.
No,
and, I was scared that I would lose all my clients one day and all these people would, lose their livelihoods and what have you.
Yep.
But then once I got into the pattern of okay, well, we do have this business, let's hire. So, basically what I've learned is that there has to be a balance, of course, between utilization and also being ahead of that so your team can stay happy and things like that. So I think it's really important to, be prepared to make those trade-offs to have a happier team. Another thing that I think I've realized why so many agencies are bad, because the business model is not all that conducive to being as profitable as you would like. So that's why, the teams that I was on previously were so small and so overworked and things like that. But despite that, I still think, to my last point, I think it's really important that you take care of your people. Because, they signed up to do something for you, help you bring your dream to life. The least you can do is take care of them.
Absolutely.
Another thing I would say is have multiple points of contact at your client. So, in most cases, you sign on a client, they stick you with one person, and then you connect with that one person, and that's that. But we've had a number of instances where that person has left, And, we had a great relationship with that point of contact. But then when that new person comes in, well, they're a new person. So they want to show their value, and they're immediately trying to like marginalize you. So it's better to have, multiple points of contact. So you have people that basically go to bat for you at that organization, so that you can continue to do great work. And it's not like there's no speed bumps because someone else comes on.
I completely agree with you. In the communication side of the thing, just making sure that everybody knows the temperature of the client, what issues that they've been able to communicate, because you'll trip across this. I don't know if you have yet, but somebody who didn't know a previous conversation, right, with the client, and you're left holding the bag there, and it just looks like you've got a gap there. That's you need to get over that. But if you can avoid those type of breakdowns in communication, it does wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, communication is the name of the game across any business, right? Like if people aren't in the know about what was communicated to the client, or they're operating on the wrong expectations, that's just going to lead to a bad client relationship. So yeah, I completely agree. We definitely have people on our team that own that communication. Like we have an account manager who's a relationship manager to make sure all that stuff flows. We have a project manager whose role is to, make sure that everybody's communicating internally. And I think definitely in SEO, people don't really appreciate those roles. We have a lot of organizations where the account manager is also that person that does the work. And I'm sure that's a model that works for people, but more often than not, I see that people that are good at doing the work are not so good at the relationship management side.
Yes, absolutely.
And relationship management is very much a skill that like you have to really craft. It can't just be something that you tack on to the fact that you're also good at doing work. So I think it's really important that, like you said, communication happens, and also that people understand that the relationship management part of it is critical to the work and the relationship.
Absolutely. Very, very good points. I mean, you learn some lessons that some of us have to take 10 years to learn sometimes. Very cool.
To be fair, I've seen a lot of people do it wrong.
Yeah.
I've worked at a number of agencies.
Yep, understood.
I would say that I at least hit the ground running.
Got it. No, I mean, that's kind of baptized by fire there, so to speak. You released, your company released a new report comparing some of the top tools on the internet for SEO evaluation. Can you give us some backgrounds about the vector report that you put together?
Yeah, absolutely. So the vector report, we basically took the Inc. 500 as like a corpus to decide how can we predict visibility based on domain level link metrics? So, there's any number of link metrics out there. In fact, we looked at 116 per domain. And, there's a number of tools like Search Metrics, Moz, Ahrefs, et cetera, et cetera. And we also worked very closely with a company called Cognitive SEO, which is a great SEO tool.
Yes, it is.
That has great things like link visualization, and primarily what we used was their unnatural link classifier. So basically what we did is we took the search metrics. They have a list of like the most visible or the most change in visibility for domains for the week, and as far as like who's the winners and who are the losers. And so we took that, and then we took all those different metrics, and then we built a statistical model that showed which of those link metrics were the most valuable as far as determining whether or not a site is going to be visible or lose visibility.
Okay.
And then based on that model, we then re-ranked the Inc. 500. And so we put together this report, the vector report, where we talk about, what the different grades, we graded them A through F, of course, and, what were the features of a grade A site versus a grade B versus C, D, and F. And then we also gave some very specific insights based on the different verticals as well. And then we also highlighted some of those different sites within the report. All 500 sites, we have a report that we have sent to those companies. So, you know,
That's
if
beautiful.
they want some help, we're happy to help.
What a great door opener. Wow.
Yeah.
So now we know the real motivation.
Absolutely.
And the other part of that is if they see the report, they're going to get a retargeting ad that lets them know what their grade is.
Oh,
over
heck
and
yeah.
over until they have
So you've got every one of their grades following them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Your F is following you. That's a beautiful thing.
Help?
So has anybody picked up the phone and called you?
We've gotten some emails, no calls yet.
All right.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
you know our account executive is on top of it.
So
Maybe you need to direct mail them because obviously they're not paying attention to the web.
So
send them their F in the mail.
as well.
So you reviewed the tools that were there, and you ranked the best link metric visibility tools. And you mind if we kind of go through them real quick?
Yeah, so we didn't necessarily rank the tools themselves. We just highlighted the metrics that correlated most with visibility.
Right.
So I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I think it was
Moz's
spam score,
Yep.
Moz rank,
Yep.
unnatural links and OK links from Cognitive SEO.
Yep.
I think it was topical trust flow from Majestic.
Yep. Absolutely.
And is there one more?
Majestic citation flow, and then you got the SEM rush rank as well.
Right. So yeah, I think it's like 6 or so of those.
Yep, and Ahref as well was in the packet. Those are all. I mean, what you're doing is really isolating the tools out there that have really done their job. I did notice that Link Research Tools wasn't in there.
Yeah, so we actually reached out to them about because basically like the tool we were going to use either Link Research Tools or Cognitive SEO for the determination of spammy links.
Yeah.
And you know, either one of those is going to be a big effort for us to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's 500 sites, and then you have to like
That's
go
a lot
by
of
hand to classify the anchor text.
That's
and
a
such.
lot of work.
And so ultimately, we just went with Cognitive SEO because it seemed like an easier way to go. But I did just talk to Christoph, good friend, yesterday, and I said, because he had mentioned that they now have some AI features to the tools that'll allow this to happen automatically.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
The new Inc. 500 just came out this week, so we're gonna redo it using Link Research Tools.
How much time did this take you to do?
Oh, let's not talk about that. So I had this idea, I want to say in like 2014, and so we started all the analysis and everything, and we got like halfway through, and then the 2015 Inc. 500 came out, and we were like, well, good grief. So,
I don't think that's what you said.
and so, and of course, it's being a marketing project. It's like a back burner project
Right.
with all of our client stuff. So, all in all, like it took us a year to turn it around because there's so much stuff to do. Plus, we built the system. But now that the infrastructure is there, we can probably replicate this for any type of list, like the Internet Reseller 500, the Fortune 500, whatever we're going to do.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Good job. Investment of that magnitude, you certainly want to have it scalable. But that's great data to be able to demonstrate to, just showing the validity of the tools that are out there and how valuable link metrics truly are. I mean, it's the critical component. Wouldn't you agree for SEO?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all other things being equal, aside from maybe TF-IDF, having more higher quality links than another site, you're going to rank better. So it's still a very critical thing for us to look at and making determinations of what to do, where to focus our efforts and things. So yeah, absolutely. The link metrics are definitely something that everyone should understand and also know which ones are going to be the most valuable in making your determinations.
Excellent. Well, would you mind sticking around for us for another segment as we kind of go into some more information on AMP and maybe even the Moz announcement that came through?
Sure.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to be talking to Michael King as we come back to The Edge. Welcome back to The Edge. Hey, we're continuing our conversation with Michael King, founder of iPullRank. Hey, Michael, there was an announcement that came out from Moz here this week, and I wanted to see if you'd contribute into that. The article was an announcement of, I'll just kind of cut to the chase here, is they're focusing on their search tools. And they're dropping some of their community and some of their other applications, and unfortunately losing about 28% of their workforce. Pretty lengthy article, but I mean to the degree. As they're doing this shift back to kind of jettisoning some tool sets that they've got, they're having to say goodbye to a lot of Mozers, and I mean it's a Moz family, and they're very heartbroken about what has to happen here. But I'm sure you heard the shakeup. Can you give us some thoughts about what you know about this?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, I don't have any inside track.
Sure.
I'm a Moz associate, so I'm pretty like affiliated with those folks.
Yep.
But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. One, I think a lot of people look at Moz as like a barometer for our industry. So I wonder what type of shockwave that's going to send across our industry. As a business owner, like I completely understand you got to make a hard decision to really, focus on what made Moz successful in the first place. I think it's difficult because they more or less invented the SEO SaaS tool space, right?
Right.
And they had a best in class tool when it came out, but a lot of point solutions have popped up that in some ways have surpassed them.
Right.
So I think it was them going for that broader strategy that kind of caused the organization to potentially lose focus on some things or push resources on other things that may have contributed to that. So them going back to SEO as the core focus, I think is a great idea. But, of course that comes at the cost of some great people needing to, part ways with the organization. And so on that side, again, as a business person, I think of it one way, but as folks that like I've developed relationships with and have friendships with over the years, it's very difficult to look at because, when you think of some of these folks, you think they're synonymous with Moz.
Right.
So, for instance, like Jen Lopez, she was the person that reached out to me when I submitted my first blog post, and she was like, "Hey, this one isn't that good. Why don't you try again?" And so I did, and then that was a great success, and she was always very supportive of me growing into this thought leadership stuff. So it's very difficult to think of her not being there,
Right.
So I don't know, like who am I to judge? I don't know the ins and outs of the business. I just know that from a strategic standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. I expect that we're going to get even better software out of it. But from a people standpoint, it's definitely difficult because, you're watching your friends have to move on.
No, you're absolutely right. That 28%. What does that make into real world numbers of people? Any idea how many that actually represents?
I don't know. At this point, like last time I went to Moz, I didn't know people.
Yeah.
When I first started to go to Moz, like I knew everyone in the room. I'm pretty sure they were over 100 people last time I was there, maybe closer to 150. So I don't know what that breaks down to. The other end of this is the other products like Follower Wonk or Moz Content.
Right.
What is to happen with those? I'm guessing they're trying to sell them or whatever.
Right.
I think those tools showed a lot of promise. So I hope someone else carries the torch for those or something, because Follower Wonk I use pretty regularly as far as different good reports for social and stuff. So it's just interesting. I want to see what's going to happen next, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's unfair to look at one company and use that as a barometer towards SEO.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think if you look around, even regionally, right? There's been a lot of SEO companies dropping like flies over the last, 5 years. And, Michael started out when he was talking about iPullRank and what they're doing for clients. And what did he talk about? He talked about focusing on the conversion funnel and the persona and where, at what point in the customer purchase stage they are and everything else.
Right.
Well, if you go back to SEO, old SEO days, that had nothing to do with SEO, right? Correct. It was all about ranking and keywords and backlinks.
Right.
And I feel like what's happened is, agencies like yours and agencies like Michael's have evolved with the times and stayed ahead of, the curve. But I think a lot, and I don't want to speak ill of Moz. I think they're a pioneer, and they set the standard, I think, for inexpensive SEO help and platform and everything else. But every time I go to Moz over the last year, all I'm reading about is the old stuff. And I wasn't reading about customer journeys, and I wasn't reading about conversion optimization, and I wasn't reading about, and so I almost feel like the industry and Google's sophistication, the competitiveness of tools that Michael, talked about, has kind of left part of the industry behind. And Moz, I think this is a big blow, but it should be a wake-up call for any of those old school SEO agencies out there. You got to change your business, buddy.
Yep.
You really have to go find some, really start to become great marketers and not just worry about backlinks, rank, keywords, right?
So what you're saying is that, obviously there's a financial issue there, and they had to do something from a business model standpoint. But you're saying that because the industry has changed into intention marketing as opposed to search marketing, right?
Yeah.
And then be able to match those intentions and be able to answer the questions necessary to be able to help conversions and get assisted conversions. They should have doubled down on these tools that they expanded out into, and maybe be more svelte, maybe be able to monetize those pieces.
Yeah, our clients want to know what their web presence is. They want to know whether they're beating their competition across search, social. They want PR opportunities. They want premier content. And I'm going to share a post that I wrote about this because it is pretty shocking to everybody today. And that's not to say I am not speaking ill of Moz at all. I just feel like it was a huge. I can't remember how many members there were. Was it like 100,000 members of Moz or whatever?
Yeah.
And every time I went there, I was just like, oh, you poor people, you're still playing in the old school.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You got to stay ahead of this, and like I said, I wish we could replay what Michael said at the beginning, because that's what we're talking about is SEO as an industry has changed. It's changed because of the competitiveness of tools. Right. It's changed because of the sophistication of the algorithm and rank brain, all of the Panda and, and
on top of that, the consumption of other digital assets besides just the search path.
But I still see stuff shared on Twitter and Facebook and everything else, like, 10 tips to rank better. And it's, go spam and and it's like, oh, come on, and these are people out there that have businesses doing this.
Well, Michael, let's pull you back into this equation. What are your thoughts about what Doug just said there?
So I agree with part of it, but I don't agree with them not having content to support the bigger picture stuff. In fact, that was one of their bigger initiatives a couple years ago. And in fact, I wrote a post. It was called the New SEO Process.
Nice.
I wrote it in 2012.
I didn't read that one, Michael.
Everything that we do.
Own it, Doug. Own it. Excellent.
So I definitely disagree with that. I think Moz was doing a decent job at supporting their breadth in the things that they were going after with good content that really spoke to education of how to do these things. I just think that they may have had some missteps with product launches and things like that. They had one point, and this is all publicly documented, there was one point where their funnel was closed for a number of months and things like that. So all of that stuff, I suspect, had some sort of butterfly effect on everything. Also, some things may not have met user expectations when they launched. So, it has a lot more to do with consumer confidence and the impact of that. And again, this is outside, I don't necessarily know if this is true.
Sure.
But it may have to do with the consumer confidence and, a lot of folks being like, well, I came here for the best SEO solution. You guys are going broad. Mm-hmm. These other things aren't what I expect. So, maybe I like Majestic better for links or Ahrefs better for links because they update, every 30 minutes or whatever, whereas Moz is still doing it like 2, 3, 4 times a month. So there's a lot to consider here. All these new players that came in and really perfected some of these things that Moz pioneered.
Right. Yep.
And then also, Moz kind of trying to be all things to all people, but not really hitting the mark for those people.
So, I mean, the consumer, the SEO consumers wanted a number of series of tools, and Moz tried to serve that up, but they kind of lost their center. And I guess that's what they're trying to do is come back to center. And the best part about it is that you have a lot of innovators that make up these Mozers. Okay, they're absolutely going to find another place.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be very interesting to be able to see what new innovations are coming from where they go in their career paths. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great people there. I look forward to where they land. I look forward to maybe some of them starting their own products. Mm-hmm. It's a sad time, but it's also a potentially exciting time for all those folks as well.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate your comments on that, and that certainly is close to your heart. I can tell that just from our conversation. So I appreciate you be able to voice your opinion on that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I got a lot of love for Moz. They've done a lot for me in my career. So, like I said, from a business side, I understand it. From a personal side, it's like, I wish we could have done something else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to shift gears here and talk about a couple of things real quick. We wanted to talk about AMP and where it is right now.
I have a lot of opinions on AMP.
Well, it's being tested to appear in desktop searches now, right? Should we start building all of our websites in AMP code? I'm going to tee that one up to you.
All right. So I dislike is probably not a strong enough word. How do you say it?
Abhor? Yes. Yep. Wow.
I hate AMP.
Oh.
It's really because Google believes that no one can code. There's this concept called the critical rendering path, and they have a lot of documentation around that, which basically says like how you organize your code, how you compress assets, how you minimize your HTTP requests, things like that.
Right.
How all that impacts load time.
Right.
And so all AMP is that in a CDN.
Right.
So they kind of remove some features that are allowed, like JavaScript and things like that, and they force you to make your page as minimal as possible. So the thing is, you can achieve those same results if you just write good code.
If you know what you're doing.
Yeah. So it's like Google being like, okay, you guys are dumb. We're gonna make you do it this way.
And by the way, you have no control over the how this thing renders.
Right.
You've got no way to control conversions.
Right. So it's like, and it's also a step back in that, before they were like, okay, you guys have these 2 versions of the page. We don't want you to do that. Do responsive. Oh, wait, no. Go back to having 2 versions of the page because you guys really suck at making responsive sites. So, I don't know. And the other thing about AMP is I think it's another one of those things where if it doesn't get a lot of adoption, Google will just drop it. Right. So, I think that them starting with the news publications was a good way to get adoptions quickly.
Right.
And I think, and this is actually Cindy Crumb's idea. She thinks that they are going to start they want to get enough of a sample size that they can basically use machine learning to convert pages from regular HTML to AMP.
Oh,
so that they don't need you to, do it.
So Skynet is still live and vibrant now. They're going to take it.
You know what's funny about that comment? Because Google actually has all the things that comprise Skynet. So they could actually become Skynet.
Rank Brains, the AI, the core Sky. Absolutely.
So Yeah, I don't like AMP because it's like, it's taking all the control from you,
Yep.
and you could replicate all of that yourself by just putting you're hosting your site on like Google Cloud and then just optimizing your code. Same thing.
And yeah, exactly. And where we had some really good compliance optimization and W3C compliance, and you're absolutely right. It's like they decided, okay, we can't let you control your own destiny. Play in our sandbox, and we are not going to allow you to really do anything with that space. And
Yeah.
I mean, they do play heavy-handed in so many scenarios. And my lord, why? If you're trying to embrace and open up another channel of communication to SEOs and web dev across the world, why? I mean, it's almost like I'll liken it to the Apple environment. You just can't break in that Apple source code, and they'll close it down, and you can't play in their sandbox unless they allow you to play in it. And that's what the AMP environment's starting to look like. AMP is about speed, which is a very important ranking factor for Google, right? And as well as user experience. Do you see AMP being a ranking factor in the future?
No. I mean, it depends on adoption, because like we speculated about all this stuff during authorship and such as well. Like, yeah, if they had enough people that did it, then yeah, they could use it as a ranking signal. But if it only represents, some small percentage of the web, how could you then use that as a ranking signal? It would really over-index for people that do SEO rather than the people that are just making great content. So yeah, I don't see it being a ranking factor until the adoption gets up tremendously.
Well, we're certainly see that AMP icon starting to make its way into the mobile.
And, yeah, absolutely.
And we certainly see the mobile icons out there. We were just looking at this, going, all right, if they're putting that much time and investment into this, I mean, I think this has the moniker of not the same type of Google, bait and switch where they want you to focus so much and then they'll move and devalue. All the signals are there that they're in this for a long journey. Well, that's in my opinion.
I would argue one thing too. You had said about user experience, and I don't agree with Google that speed is the only user experience. Like I don't want to read an article that looks like every other article.
Yep.
I love seeing people's use of JavaScript now on mobile devices and interactive elements and everything else. And so I feel like they're taking away some of the incredible advancements that we've had in
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but at the same time, how many times have you been like frustrated? You click something on Twitter and it takes like 10 seconds to load. Like, I get what they're going for, because they're thinking more for those users that are like, I just want to read this article real quick. I don't care what it looks like.
But like
but at the same time, I think one of the other issues that we need to figure out, or they need to figure out, or they and Facebook need to figure out, is they have these two separate standards. They have this instant articles thing, and we have AMP. So how are you going to make all that stuff play nice together?
Yep.
Well, the thing though is that, like, we have those. We have reader modes on mobile devices.
Exactly.
And we have tagging to make sure that
That's
people
fair.
can just hit that and display it in a simple
give
format.
it back to the consumer.
Yeah.
If they want to fly quickly,
Yeah, exactly.
then let me turn my AMP switch on, and
Yeah.
I'll navigate around and see the article how I want to see them, right?
Yep.
That's a good point.
Well, Tom had a great question here that he teed up for me. There's so much content being created now. What's the most common mistake that you see people that are creating, what people are doing whenever they're creating content? Let me read.
Same thing I said before. They're just like, we just need more content. We need to, cover every keyword.
Yep.
We need to, let's do all the infographics. Oh, interactives are hot now. Let's do those. Oh, 10x content. Let's do more of that. Like, that's never the answer. Like, you need to sit down and figure out what's useful and usable to your audience, how it's going to be created, how it's going to be maintained. Because there's so much, like, orphan content that, if you guys just, like, look at what you have and think about what can be repurposed or what can just be updated, and you're going to get so much more value out of that. We're all just like, oh, content marketing is so cool. Now we get to be bootleg internet madmen, and we can do expensive arts and crafts and stuff. Like, no, it's not about that. Like, how do we make something that is actually going to drive ROI? It's not necessarily do we make more stuff. It's like, how do we make the thing? Right. And the thing may be the thing that you already have. You just need to add a little bit to it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would say the biggest mistake is just making more rather than making the right thing.
So let me ask you this. When do you think we'll reach the content shock level, or have we already?
Oh, we've been there like 2 years at least.
We're planting flags there.
2020, let's make more stuff, yay! And then like it just got to the point where we're just making garbage.
Yeah,
I think the majority of publishers would be absolutely amazed if they counted how much it costs to produce all of the content that nobody's looking at their site every month.
Right. yeah.
And then they'll bitch about, good content. Right? You want to do some kind of premium content piece. Oh my God, I'm not spending that much money. Oh.
Yep.
Why, you spent all this money before and you're not getting anything for it.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Good point. Well, we typically will point that out whenever we're doing a content audit. We're like, okay, well, how much did you spend on all of this? It's not getting you anything.
That's a terrible conversation right there, or it's a gut wrenching one at that. Okay, well, is there a kind of content that you wish more people would create?
Yeah, I mean,
porn. There's just not enough of it out there. I'm sorry.
There's really not enough combinations.
Yeah. Michael, your face.
Fantastic. I mean, that space definitely needs more interaction. There's VR stuff going on. Behind the 8 ball there.
Oh boy! Where do you go with that?
You know what's funny is I literally did get a pitch from a PR company today that two leading, I won't mention their names, two leading porn sites just launched an ad service, and they're giving away $100,000 in ads to people, and I'm like, what? Why did you send this to a technology guy? Like.
Pick it up and run with it.
What am I going to do? Put an SEO audit ad up on, yeah. What keywords do I go after?
E24 ads, they killed it on porn sites.
Which ones?
E24, they're like a Grubhub or Seamless or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And they had all these ads for like, basically the illusion is like, hey, you're spent after what you just
wow.
Look at Tom's facial reaction.
And ads on those sites are so cheap because people don't really want to advertise there, and they killed it on it. There's like a great post that they wrote with their case study on it.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Anyway, back to your question.
Wow.
I would love to see more exhaustive and comprehensive content. I'm tired of seeing like your 500-word blog post with your optimize H1 and your one random stock photography image and calling that like good content. I want to see something that like, is valuable to the people that you're writing for. That's it.
No bullshit marketing.
Awesome.
I mean,
whoa.
I mean, pretty much. Hey,
we got to change the setting on this podcast. Porn and bullshit,
and horses too.
Yeah. Whoa!
Don't time together.
Hey.
Hey, you're right. I'm going to just put that one aside. All right, moving on. Hey, just to finish up, you wrote a great article in January that listed 6 of your favorite tools that no one else talks about. Could you share with our listeners what some of those are and some of your favorite tools?
I don't remember what those were.
Well, cognitive SEO is obviously one of them.
I know cognitive SEO is on there.
Yep.
We use that a lot, especially for all of our link auditing. One of them was something called Orange, which is like a data science tool. Mm-hmm. So it's for drag and drop statistics, basically. So if you don't understand, statistics very well, you can just like say, I want to do this model on this data and then give me my output in this way. Mm-hmm. So it makes it really easy. What else is on there?
I think there was Pitchbox, I think was one.
Oh yeah, Pitchbox. We pretty much exclusively use Pitchbox for link building. It's basically like a CRM for link building. And one of the things I really love about it is that there's like a separation of concerns. So basically you can have someone who's good at understanding how to do prospecting, which is a very different skill set from someone who is actually good at outreach. So that way you kind of have like an assembly line for your link building. So I use that, or we use that a lot. There's another tool called Postman. And what that is a Chrome extension which allows you to connect to APIs and get data without any code. So if you're working with a developer and you can't code, but you know there's an API you want, you can play with it and then grab your screenshots and be like, I want this data and I want you to do X, Y, and Z with it. And then I think the other thing on there, there's two other ones. There's nTopic. So nTopic is a tool that helps you identify the co-relevant keywords. And this goes back to that concept of TF-IDF. OnPage.org, I actually like their tool for that better for this now. And in fact, I think Moz's latest keyword tool actually has a lot of features of this too. But basically, it identifies the co-relevant keywords for the keyword that you're trying to rank for. So let's say you're trying to rank for the keyword soccer, and all the other pages that rank for it have the keyword shin guards and cleats on it. They expect those words to be on your page as well. And so nTopic and OnPage.org both allow you to find those keywords for using. And then the last one was Keyword Studio, which is like an all-in-one keyword research platform. What I like about that tool specifically is that it automatically will segment the keywords for you. So we do a lot of categorization of keywords, and it kind of cuts out that step for us.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. That's all great information there. Hey, I wanted to wrap up with a couple fun things here real quick for you. You game for this?
Sure.
All right. You said you are a developer turned indie rapper turned results-driven marketer. Okay. There's a story there. All right. I'm almost guaranteeing there's a story there. So how did you learn code, and what made you go to rap and then to marketing?
Well, so I'm like a self-taught developer. So I learned how to code when I was 12, and of course just continued to learn languages from there. And then I kind of have like a Fresh Prince story. So my parents thought I was going to get in too much trouble. I'm from Philly originally. In too much trouble in Philly, and so they moved me to Connecticut and sent me to a private school. And I felt like to stay close to my urban roots, I wanted to do like all hip-hop things. So I started rapping when I was 14, started breakdancing, doing graffiti, DJing, all that other stuff.
Oh, wow.
So I went to school for computer science, and then, decided I just wanted to rap full-time. So I put out, 5 albums. I was signed to a subsidiary of Sony at one point.
Oh, seriously?
I traveled all over the U.S. and Europe, and played some shows in like Australia and Africa and stuff. And in 2006, I got into a bike accident. And as a rapper, you don't have any health insurance. So first place to hire me was an SEO agency because of my development background. And it all just kind of snowballed from there.
Oh, wow. 5 albums. That's awesome. All right. Okay. Well, I'm agog. I truly am. That's a pretty impressive travel there. Well,
so you were really the original SEO rapper then?
Absolutely not. I refuse to put those two things together.
Well, hey, you just became a father, right? And it is your first. What kind of advice can you give Tom Broadbeck here? He's about to have a daughter, his first. So he's going to be going through a heck of a lot of the same things that you're just now going through. So can you?
Yeah, I need some advice. I read this online somewhere that in the first 2 weeks you go through 150 diapers, and that.
Oh yes,
that's probably.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You got to go to
a lot of diapers.
Yeah, so Costco right there, buddy. Costco.
yeah. As much as we love the cloth diapers, oh my lord, cleaning that stuff in the first couple of weeks. No, don't do it.
No, screw the planet.
So I would say this is a tip that somebody gave me, and I didn't really think about it beforehand. So I'm glad this person gave it to me. They were like, make sure you pack a bag for you too. Because you end up at the hospital for at least 2 days. If your girl, your wife, or whatever has a C-section, it'll be 3 days at least. So definitely pack a bag for you.
And you can't eat.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Oh, you can't eat. You can't eat in front of her.
No, can't eat.
No,
she can't eat, and you can't eat. They said in our baby class you got to go through the drive-through.
Everybody says like you're not going to get any sleep and whatever. And I was like, whatever. I can just sleep on the baby schedule. It's not a problem. The problem is that not sleeping starts from labor time.
Oh, heck yeah.
So you don't get like a chance to like acclimate yourself. You're just like in this panic mode for up to 24 to 48 hours or whatever. And then you're like, you just keep staring at the baby to make sure that they're still alive.
Right.
And like, it just compounds and you're just like exhausted.
And 25 years later, you're still exhausted. It's still not done. I'm just letting you guys know.
So welcome. Yeah. Welcome to the environment. Yeah. You're just not going to get sleep anymore.
Well, I got till October 3rd, so I got a couple weeks still.
And while you're in the hospital, you can just hit a porn site, get a Grubhub coupon.
Wow. Okay.
Get yourself something to eat,
And then go to the divorce attorney down the road. Oh, my God.
Full circle. That's why I'm here.
It's the omni-channel approach. Well, Michael, thank you very much for your time today. We certainly enjoyed having you on the show. Any last words to our listeners, as well as maybe the other SEO thought leaders that are in this space?
Let's get back to doing awesome, cool stuff. I think SEO in general, we've kind of like gotten away from the whole testing and learning stuff. It's kind of just like it's become this filter bubble and people just saying the same things in this like echo chamber.
Right.
I would love to see people getting back to like doing research and testing things and seeing what really works and really sharing that research. Like, of course, Moz is doing it.
Now, we love Dr. Pete over at Moz. I mean, he's always turning up, and we had him on the show. I mean,
absolutely
fantastic stuff.
Dr. Pete, like, I'm always impressed with what he does and his precision and everything that the real scientific approach he brings to things. I think what he does is so needed for this industry. So I would love to see more and more people getting back to doing that rather than just like parroting what they're seeing online.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, Michael. It was certainly enjoyable having you on the show. I'm gonna let Doug be the heavy hitter here. He's the guy with the baseball bat. If go ahead and say it, Doug.
Oh yeah. If you don't promote us online, we're gonna talk shit about you in the next episode. That's our rule.
Nice.
That's a disclaimer at the end of the show.
And it's true.
All right. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for your time today. And we'll certainly.
Thanks for having me.
And the next time we're at SMX, I'm certainly going. We need to reach out and talk to you. You are very entertaining and just thought provoking, and you've got a lot to say. So we appreciate you just being in the industry because you know what, we need more of you out there.
Thank you.
No, you're more than
Thanks
welcome.
for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.